Oh snap! Drifting it, drifting it, drifting it. Can't handle it. Can't handle it. What's up, guys? It's your boy Chaos, aka Ashtrays and Action Figures. Today we're gonna talk a little bit about Ret Paladin and what you can do. What I'm showing here, though, guys, is strafing. You have to know how to strafe. All right. First and foremost, before we even get into any of the specs and stuff that we're using or buttons or anything like that, learn to strafe. Make it key bound somehow, and this will help tremendously with anything, not just drifting around in Dow and looking all cool and whatnot, but it also helps you maneuver in raids and stuff like that, and also in PvP. It's real big in PvP. Got to learn how to strafe. But
Alright
yeah,
guys, so
let's
let's
take
take
a
a
second to look at the spec that I'm running. Final Verdict, you have to go with Final Verdict. It increases the damage done of Templar's Verdict by 20% and damage done of Divine Storm by 10%. Alright, keep that in mind. Zeal, I always just run Zeal. Pretty much everyone runs Zeal. I do it on every fight. I never change it. It's great. You can read it there. Cool. Blade of Wrath. Your auto attacks are going to reset the cooldown of Blade of Justice. This is very important. I'll show you in a minute. Eye for an eye and stuff, it really doesn't matter and whatnot which one of those you take. Same with um, Fist of Justice and any of these. They're just secondary. We're not really worried about those at all. Divine Intervention, I use this to auto proc my bubble, and I do this in PvP as well as PvE. It just saves a lot of time. You don't have to guess like, oh, is this going to kill me? Do I need to press my button? No, there's no need for it. It's just going to automatically do its thing if you're going to die, and you'll live. Okay, so just put it on. Just make things easy. All right, for the level 100 talent here, I am running the ring, which is going to be giving me the divine purpose. But usually you'll want to just run Divine Purpose and you'll have the belt for Ret Paladins that's the best in slot. But you see, even if you don't have it, you can still kind of come up with a spec and still outperform people with the belt, as you can see from my parses. But anyways, I'll run Divine Purpose with Crusade. And this is going to be increasing my burst damage and everything. Another like thing with the build that I'm running is the Cloak. It's going to be Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm. Increase the damage of your next Templar's Verdict or Divine Storm within 4 seconds by 15%. And this is the best in slot cloak for Ret right now. And you can keep this buff up pretty much constant. There are times where you'll find yourself everything on cooldown and things like that, and you can't generate enough holy power to get that Templar's Verdict off within those 4 seconds. But your next Templar's Verdict, you should catch the next one around, and it would just keep refreshing, refreshing, and refreshing, where every Templar's Verdict that you're doing or your Divine Storm is going to be increased by 15% more damage, and that's amazing. Looking at our weapon, you can see here I'm at level 70 in it. Um, Literally just fill out the entire board because that's what you do, and then dump everything into Concordance, and just hopefully it procs at good moments usually. Your relics don't matter as much. They just buff other things. So you can see here I have 3 different ones, a 930, 935, and then my 925. And you should be doing the Crucible out at Argus and increasing these traits accordingly, which I'll have to do an entirely different video for that because there's a lot of traits and a lot of different things that you can do inside these. As you can see, the buffs that I'm getting, if you would like to pause the video and look at them, then by all means go ahead. I'm just trying not to make this video too long. Moving over to the gear. We're looking at the 4-piece right now from TOS. It's going to be Judgment, also increase the damage of Blade of Justice by 20% for 8 seconds. And Blade of Justice generates 1 additional holy power. We're also going to be, resetting that cooldown. So we're going to be increasing the damage of Blade of Justice while gaining an additional holy power and resetting Blade of Justice. This is very critical because we need to gain as much holy power as possible. So Blade of Wrath is amazing. Every time it comes off cooldown, you need to use it because you should be spending your holy powers as fast as you're getting them. I went ahead and blew up my bars a little bit so you can kind of see a little bit better of what I'm doing. Number one thing though Greater Blessing of Kings and Greater Blessing of Wisdom must be up. You can put this on different targets. Usually, your healer that's going to be needing mana is going to get Wisdom, and it's going to be placing a blessing on an ally that causes them to regenerate 1% of their maximum health and mana per 10 seconds. And then a tank or yourself would get Blessing of Kings depending on if the tanks can maintain their damage properly, or if you need a little bit more survivability, you would place it on yourself, and this is going to be absorbing up to 124,000 damage and will be refreshed to full strength every 6 seconds. So it's a pretty good defense. Right, so we're going to talk about coming into a fight. Generally, we want to run our burst, which is going to be our crusade, increase your damage and haste by 3% for 32 seconds. This is going to be getting buffed through some of my relics and things like that. But each holy power spent during crusade increases damage and haste by an additional 3%. That's going to be that secondary that I'm running right there, the crusade. That's what's buffing Next that up, right every there. Time that you start a fight, you want to come in with your judgment first. After applying your judgment onto the target, it has a buff there, taking 85% increased damage from the paladin's holy power consuming ability. So every time we do a Templar's Verdict, that damage is going to be increased by an additional 57%. And this is based off of our mastery, which is increased judgment damage by 187% and causes judgment to increase damage, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Okay, so this may change in Throne, but right now, that's what we do. And we can see that since I've been sitting here auto-attacking, every now and then you'll see Blade of Justice get its proc, and when that procs, that's a free Blade of Justice. So, and that's going to be, right there, there's the Blade of Justice proc. That's going to be the Blade of Wrath. All right, so you think to yourself, all right, cool, put judgment on it, Blade of Justice, that's all I got to do, right? No. All right, so we're going to go into Templar's Verdict now. So, judgment, Blade of Justice, Templar's Verdict spam. It reset right there. That is because of the Divine Purpose. Your Holy Power spending abilities have a 20% chance to make your next Holy Power spending ability free. I've seen this thing proc like 6 times in a row and just do ridiculous amounts of damage. So this is why this is the #1 choice, Divine Purpose. If you see here, everything is key bound. I have RE 5, 6, 4, things like that and stuff. It's key bound to my Nostromo, so they don't line up with a keyboard because I don't play with a keyboard. But when you go through, it makes it so much easier to sit here and you just hit the button over and over again. If you're actually still clicking your abilities, please don't do so. One last thing we need to talk about for single target primarily is the Wake of Ashes. Lash out with Ashbringer, dealing 505,000 radiant damage and an additional 511,000 radiant damage over 6 seconds to all enemies within 12 yards in front of you, and reducing movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. It's also a good stun for your groups. If they are demon or undead, they are going to be stunned for 6 seconds if struck by Wake of Ashes. Also for this on cooldown, you want to be using it when you've ran out of holy power pretty much. So when we come in, we'll hit Templar's Verdict. Well, we got a proc there, so we'll go back into it. We don't have nothing, Wake of Ashes. We have another Templar's Verdict, just like that. So, and that keeps us with this buff up here that is increasing our Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm by 15%. You see right there, I popped Arcane Torrent. That's a free holy power. You kind of want to be the master race, I'm just saying. And we just proc for days. So now let's see it put all together at the same time, and we're going to be behind the target. Remember, we need to be behind the target. So let's go. Remember, we're spamming Templar's Verdict as much as possible. Anything to do to get a holy power to hit Templar's Verdict again, that's what we're going to do. Trying to keep judgment up on the target and spam Templar's Verdict over and over and over again. The most Templar's Verdict. While that judgment is up, our Templar's Verdict is increased. So we just keep spamming it, and within 4 seconds of itself, it's buffed again. So that's even more damage. Remembering everything that we did for single target, we're going to come over here and we're going to start some AoE. Run our burst, judgment, and we're going to start proccing Divine Storm. We Wake of Ashes when we don't have holy power, and it will keep proccing out usually. So we just keep Divine Storming. keep Judgment up, and Divine Storm more. It's a little bit weird when you're trying to talk about it and do it at the same time, but you get the general idea. You keep Judgment up on the target, try to get as much holy power as fast as possible while spamming Divine Storm. And you can see here I'm sitting at 2.8 million DPS, which is fairly good, I would say. So yeah, let me know what y'all think about this video, and let me know if y'all want to see anything else, or maybe some tips and tricks on other classes and things like that. And I think this'll conclude this video. So yeah, see y'all later. Please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what y'all want to see. There's a lot more to come. Yeah. While we beating up on an 85 dummy, man. Like, leave it. Why is it doing that much damage? What is 14 million? What is that, man? At least the AoE was raid bosses, man. It's 85, man. What is that?